Hello, I'm Sat from Apps for Good, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to be talking you through how to create a Facebook app that has a login button. I'll be using a logging into Facebook guide, which you can also see yourselves and download, and a link to that is in the description below. The first thing we want to do is create a site on Orion Hub. We could create a new one using the new feature here, but I'll show you a quicker way by just using the sample HTML5 site generator on the left. If this section here isn't visible for you, then you should just select the browser that you're running Orion Hub in and press Control and letter O, and it should reappear and appear or disappear depending on whether it's visible or not. Once you can see it, hit sample HTML5 site, hit submit. But before you do that, actually, what you want to do is create a folder name. So I'm going to put in Facebook tutorial login, and then I'm going to hit submit. You should now be able to see the folder that you created on the right hand side. So I've got my one here, it's Facebook tutorial login. If I click on here, I've then got my index file, my JavaScript file, and a CSS file. So let's go ahead and click on the index.html file to open that up. And that's the first step of our guide complete. The second step is to create a button on our page that the user can click on to log in. You'll also notice that actually our page has a lot more information on it compared to the one in the guide. That's not a problem at all. Either one's fine. We can either remove some of that stuff later on if we choose to, or leave it and build up from it. The next thing we want to do on step 2 is to add a button to our page. So I'm going to put a button tag just after the hello world, and I'm going to add a class to it so I can refer to it later on in our JavaScript. Refer specifically to this button and no other button. I could also have used an ID on here, but for simplicity's sake, I'll just use a class. So we've got a button on our page now, and that, if I am correct, is the end of step 2. It's pretty simple. So we've got a site and we have a button on it, but we can't actually see what the site looks like. We can't actually send it to anyone either. So the next step is to tie this to a URL so we can show it to people. So to do that, make sure we've saved everything. I'm going to show you a slightly different way to the guide, just so you have another way of doing it. So if we click on sites, it takes us to our sites page. What you want to do, your one probably be quite empty, it may be completely empty here. You want to click the create a new site configuration button here, which is just create. Then you want to give your site a name. So I'm going to give it Facebook tutorial login. I'm going to hit submit. It will then take you to your page. What you then want to do is hit the add button, and you want to scroll down and select the folder that you just created at the start. So Facebook tutorial login is the one that I was using, so I'm going to select that, and now what we have is we have our Facebook tutorial login mapped to this website. So if I now press start, it would generate a URL for us, and if I right click on this URL and click on open new tab, or just click on it, I have got all our files online, and if I click on the index.html one, we've got our page that we had, and we've got the login button, press me to log in, and if we press it, nothing happens. But that's okay for now. So we've got a running app, which is great. What we want to do now is go to step 4, which is creating a Facebook app, at least setting up the settings behind that, so we can then connect our website to our Facebook app and actually give some functionality to that button. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste that link on the step 4, which is developers.facebook.com. Once on this page, I am then going to click the apps button at the top of the screen. If you have registered as a Facebook developer, you should see a create new app button. If you haven't, then you might see a slightly different button. If you just click that, it should send you through to registering as a developer, and then you'll come back to this screen. So if we hit the create new button, create new app, I should say, what we're going to do is give this app a name. So I'm going to call it Facebook tutorial login. And it's failed. So if we click on failed, I think I might be right in saying the reason this has failed is because we've got the word Facebook in there. So you can't have the word Facebook in there, that's reserved. So if I change that to tutorial login, you'll notice it's now valid. So why don't we just leave it as that? I think that's fair enough, and I kind of know what it is from just that. What we're going to do is we can fill in the namespace. I'm going to leave that blank for now. Web hosting, we want to make sure that's not pressed and not checked because we're using Orion Hub for hosting. That's where all our files are. So once we've just put an app name, we can go ahead and click continue. We want to then put in this security check, and hopefully I'll get this right, although I always seem to get this wrong the first time I try it, but let's see. Great. Okay, so once we have logged in, it will take us to our app's settings page. So here is tutorial login as the name that we gave, and the basic settings of our app. If we scroll down, we'll see app ID, and we'll see our app secret. Now, app ID is what's used to connect this app that we created to our page with some other code as well. What we're going to do now is scroll down to where it says website with Facebook login, and we want to click on this link. We want to then put in the link to our website that we had before. So if I just copy the URL and I paste that into there. Then what we want to do is also under the app domains, we want to put in Orion Hub. So if I just go back to here and I just put in orionhub.org, that's all we need to do for now for the settings, and then hit save changes. So I think the reason for that error was because if I just get rid of that, I had the HTTP on there, and it didn't want that. So if I just hit save changes again, the error is gone. So try that again. If you did the same thing as me, just type orionhub.org. You don't want the HTTP or the www. So yeah, when you're doing this, mistakes are going to happen. Just be ready. You might have a lot more than me. It might go smoothly the first time around. And actually, as we go through this guide, you'll notice that I'm making quite a few mistakes, and I'll leave them in there so that you can see that no one does this kind of thing perfectly, and you shouldn't feel that you have to memorize all these steps and do them all perfectly. When it comes to development, things go wrong. You just have to deal with it and try and find a solution the best you can. Okay, so make sure you hit save changes, and then we will continue from here. What we want to do now is go on to step 5, which is actually adding in some of the Facebook API to our actual app. So this is a bit like if you were adding plumbing to your house, um, so you could get water out of the taps. It's not really, people won't actually see the plumbing in your house. This is just something that you know has happened. So for that reason, it's not the most interesting step, but this step and the last step, the things that need to happen for you to be able to then acquire the user's details and be able to then use it in your app. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to developers.facebook.com again. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for JavaScript SDK, since that's the actual API and SDK that we're going to be using. So if we just go to the search bar here, we're going to just type in JavaScript SDK. If we weren't using JavaScript, we were using something else, like another programming language like PHP, we could type in PHP SDK. But let's go ahead and click on the top link. And if we just scroll down, we'll see under loading and initialization, we have a huge chunk of code that we have to then put into our app. So you'll see here it says this code should be placed directly after the opening body tag. Now you don't have to understand every part of this. It's just important that you know that this, like I said, this is kind of like the plumbing of a house. It just needs to be there, and then you can start plugging into all the other aspects of your Facebook app and Facebook API. Okay, so if we take this code and we go back to our app at index.html and we paste this as it said just after the opening body tag. So I paste that there. We've now got our code, our Facebook API code in there. So this will connect to Facebook, but what we need to do is add in our app ID in here. So when we first created this app, under apps tutorial login basic, we have our app ID. So if I copy this, so each app ID is unique to that app, so it's important that you have your own one in here. So if I go back to my code, I can then paste it in there and make sure you remove any additional white space that might appear and then hit save. And now we've basically got our code on our site, and we're on our final step. Our final step is to have the user actually click the button and then be able to log in. What we need though is a bit more code on our JavaScript, and one way of making JavaScript a little bit easier is to have a file use something called jQuery. So jQuery is a JavaScript library. It just makes things a little bit easier. And if you go to the guide and you just scroll down under step 6, you'll see there is a link here for jQuery. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to paste that after the opening head tag. And now we have jQuery on our index.html page. Once we've added jQuery, we can then go to our JavaScript file. So on the guide, it asks you to create a JavaScript file, but since we use the HTML sample folder, it's actually created a JavaScript file for us, and that's called hello.js, and it's actually linked it to this index.html page, which is perfect, saves us some time. So if we just go back to our original folder and we open up our Facebook tutorial login folder and we open up our hello.js file, we'll be able to see the existing JavaScript in there, and that code actually put up the date on our website. So if we go back to our website, you can see that the date's there. So what we want to do now that we've got jQuery, we can start using some jQuery code. So I'm just going to copy and paste some of this code from the site. Now there's a lot of code here to digest, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down slightly. So I'm going to first add in the login button code. just going to run that on its own. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying when the login button has been clicked, we want something to happen. So I'm going to create an alert. And I'm going to just say button has been clicked. So as I said before, sometimes these can change. So I'm just going to replace them just in case by retyping them out again. And I'm going to hit save. Then I'm going to go back to the website that I created, hit refresh, hit the login button, and hopefully, if everything's worked, the alert should appear. So that's great. We've got a button, and when you click it, something actually happens now. So let's actually add some Facebook interaction to that. We've got all the code in our index page. So we could go to the Facebook developer site and go through there and find some code. But there's another site called freeformers.com/snippets. And Freeformers have partnered with Apps for Good, and they're a great organization, and they've got some brilliant resources on their site. So I really recommend you take a few minutes to have a look at those. So let's have a quick look at them now. So it's laid out really easily. If you just click on Facebook login, top link, it takes us to some code that we can then copy and paste into our button. So if I copy this and I paste it into our JavaScript, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this alert button now. We don't need it now. And I'm just going to leave it as that for now. And I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to run this again. And what this is doing now is this is actually calling the official kind of Facebook login. So you should see something else pop up now instead of the usual alert box. So let's go back to our page, hit refresh, and press the login button. And now this is a lot more familiar to anyone who's used Facebook apps. You see a pop-up that is from our app, and it's asking the user to log in with their Facebook account, and it's showing us the permissions. So this is saying this app will receive your basic information. So let's hit login. And before I do that, I'm just going to change the who can see posts from this app to just only me, because I'm testing this app, and at the moment I don't want everyone I know on Facebook to see me testing out. And then I'm going to hit login with Facebook. And now by doing that, I have logged into this app with Facebook. If I hit F12, if you're using Google Chrome, you should get the console window appear. At the moment, you can't see it. If I just click on console here, there we go. At the moment, great. Okay, so what's happened is when the person pressed log in, this information was then pushed to the console, and this code is actually from this line here, console.log.response. So this is just letting people know, letting us know that everything's worked out fine. So to see that, I pressed F12 on the keyboard, and then I hit this. Since my screen's minimized, all the options don't appear. So I just clicked on this little arrow and I selected console to see that. So you can actually push other things to the console as well. But this is a good indication that everything's working, as well as that pop-up that appeared. The final thing we're going to do is just add in a feature that pulls out the name of the user. So once they've logged in, they've given us their basic information. We're going to pull out their name from their Facebook account and alert that on the screen. So to do that, the code is actually, again, on this Freeformers site. So if I go on the Freeformers site, I'm just going to go straight to the top, and I'm going to click on asking for Facebook data. And that gives us a chunk of code here. So if I copy that, and I'm going to paste that inside our JavaScript file, a hello.js file, and I'm going to replace the console.log.response code with this. So what's happening is, before I do that, what's happening is this code here, this is the opening as part of our JavaScript code, and this is the closing part of it. This is the click function of our login button. And then we've got another function that calls in, this is the start of it, and this is the end of it. This allows the user to log in, and that was that big pop-up box that appeared, and it said, would you give this app access rights? This console.log just logged the response, and that was fine, but we want to do a little bit more than that. We want to take, instead of just logging the response, we want to manipulate the response and be able to pull out some information from the user. So that's what this next piece of code does. So I'm going to paste that here and replace this code. And what this is doing is this is going through the API. This is looking at /me. So that is referring to the user who's using the app. And then it's going to alert their name and also log the response as well to our console so we can see that. So let's hit save. And then let's go back to our site, hit refresh. And if everything's working, we hit login. It should respond with the user's name. So that's basically how you create a Facebook login with the button and pull out some user's information. I'll probably go over a few more things in a future tutorial, but for now I'd recommend you try and just use this. I'll make sure I put some links into the description of this video as well. And if you have any requests, then feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll see if we can add some more tutorials to help you out.